We finally have a good, positive media piece on Binance, which I'm very excited about because it seems that many mainstream media outlets have just absolutely gone after them ever since the start of last bull market, and I wonder why that could be. Anyways, let's talk about it. Binance sets up Bitcoin Lightning nodes to ease deposits and withdrawals. They've started their Lightning nodes ahead of supporting Bitcoin's Lightning Network for deposits and withdrawals, and said there's still some more tech work to be done, and they're going to be providing an update once Lightning is fully integrated. Will, should I explain what Lightning Network is, or do you want to do it? I think yours might be a little bit more technical than mine.
It's your turn. It's your turn. Right, I do too many of these on the show. It's your turn.
All right. So basically, Lightning Network is another layer that's built on top of Bitcoin, and it facilitates transactions a lot faster. However, it is not as secure as the original Bitcoin network because it is a layer on top of the Bitcoin network. But it still is needed for adoption because who wants to wait sometimes 6 hours, 10 hours for your Bitcoin transaction to go through, especially if you're degenning with BRC20 tokens or Bitcoin ordinals. Zach?
Like, who'd have thunk that scaling the Bitcoin Lightning Network would only have taken insane and intense regulatory pressure that is forcing Binance to process withdrawals far faster than it had been able to in the past. Who'd have thought? The SEC is really what scaled Bitcoin, and now we see a bit more Lightning adoption because of it. That, to me, is kind of the story here, I feel like. That, to me, is the story. Might be a hot take, but I don't know. Will, what do you think?
I think you might have the best background on the show now. That's a smart-looking window you got behind you. I love it.
Thank you, sir.
No, I agree with you. I think there's some fun things in here, like some Easter eggs. So back in March through April, we had intense pressure on Bitcoin because of ordinals. A lot of people were inscribing JPEGs on top of Bitcoin. There was this thing called BRC20 tokens that took off during that time. Basically, this very odd token implementation on top of Bitcoin where people are trying to mint tokens on top of Bitcoin. That was the first time ever this has really occurred in that native fashion. And since so many people were trying to do this, it's increased the fee pressure on top of Bitcoin. Inside a Bitcoin block, you can put only so much data, and how much data is decided to go inside a block is basically decided by fees of I outbid you, then my transaction gets to go inside the Bitcoin block, and then I get to mint my BRC20 token or inscribe my SAT with a picture of whatever I want it to be. And that caused fee pressure to go up quite a bit. I mean, we hit a spot where it was higher than the last bull market or almost comparative to the last bull market in terms of fees. Like $50 transaction fees wasn't like absurd at the time. And so when we look at some of these exchanges, which are used to lower fees, batching transactions, sending it out, that sort of stuff, it's kind of painful at the moment, especially for Binance. Binance even tweeted at the time that there was problems with the Bitcoin main chain, so they were going to halt withdrawals of Bitcoin. They got slapped around on Twitter a little bit because people were like, hey, Bitcoin's fine. It's just expensive to use at the moment. Hey, maybe you should implement Lightning. We've had that for a while. So that sort of kicked everything off. Since then, they've been working on Lightning. That being said, it's not done yet. Lightning takes a while to work on. It's pretty dynamic, to say the least. And Wendy was sort of hinting at it. It's like maybe less secure in some ways. There's definitely only like some ways they want to use it versus like you want to use the main chain. A few things still to work on. Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head, right? Binance hinted back in May, I think it was the beginning of May, that they were going to be doing this because the exchange had to pause transactions and there was, all of this traffic, and now they're doing it. I think that they are taking the opportunity that some people noticed these nodes to come out and speak publicly and let everyone know that they're not only facing regulatory scrutiny in a ton of different jurisdictions, they are still continuing on. They are still meeting their business milestones. They're going to implement the Bitcoin Lightning Network, and there's still positive news coming out of the exchange. That said, I don't think we can ignore all of the regulatory scrutiny that Binance is getting, right? We talk about that mainstream adoption and how this is going to allow for faster transactions, albeit less secure. But for that mainstream adoption, your exchange needs to be available where people are. And so I think that this is a little bit of, them leveraging some of the positive news that is coming out of the exchange and them taking the opportunity to leverage that, because it's not the first time we've heard that they will be implementing this. Zach?
I was just going to say, it's interesting to see this kind of becoming industry standard, right? Kraken does this, Bitfinex does this. I think there was some noise from Coinbase that they were potentially going to do this. So the idea that this is becoming a bit normal for crypto exchanges, I think is certainly interesting to watch. There's been long time sort of criticism of Lightning for not really scaling itself very effectively, even though it's been around for a number of years now. So to see these exchanges sort of jump into this technology and provide sort of a much needed boost for this scaling technology, I think is fascinating to watch. I think Lightning specifically around the interest in Bitcoin of late has certainly become a bigger part of the conversation. You have Lightspark, which is David Marcus's outfit. You have Strike, which is, I think, Jack Mallers' outfit, obviously using Bitcoin Lightning rails to snap money all over the globe quickly and cheaply. So interesting to see some of the stuff come true, right? As demand for Bitcoin block space increases, so too does demand for using the Lightning Network to accomplish some of these goals. And if this becomes sort of a standard feature of the crypto exchange space, that's certainly good for the layer 2 conversation around Bitcoin. I got to toss it to Wendy for her final thoughts on this one, though.
I just love blocks. I think that they're awesome. I like building with blocks. I like inscribing with blocks, and I like colorful blocks. So make Bitcoin fun again.